You are welcome to the Naija Filmmaker, a podcast about Nigerian filmmakers, their films, and how we can build a diverse and functional industry. I'm your host, Selegot. On this episode, my guest is Ikeade Oriade. He is the managing editor of What Kept Me Up, a digital agency covering the film industry. We talk about gatekeepers, film festivals, and the importance of the film press in the growth of Nollywood. If you're a new listener, you're welcome and I hope you enjoy. Hi Ikeade, you're welcome to the Naija Filmmaker.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
All right, so can you introduce yourself?
My name is Ikeade Oriade, the managing editor and the founder of What Kept Me Up, a digital media agency that tries to provide these press solutions for Nollywood, since we don't have a lot of it going on around. So yeah, we write film reviews, film essays, and post news.
Okay. You said you run this digital media agency. Did you have a previous life in film? Did you work in the industry before?
Oh, no, I've just been a fan, but no, I've not particularly been a filmmaker in the past, right? Yeah, I'm a student of film in a kind of way because I've studied culture and sociology, which are important aspects of movie making at the level of story writing and that kind of thing, right? But yeah, and I've also had internships, right, at a film production company, but I've not exactly been like an industry expert or someone who has been working in the industry as a particular thing, like a set runner or a cinematographer or as a writer or something like that. Yeah. So this is like the first major thing I would be doing in Nollywood as an expert, so to say.
Okay. When did you start What Kept Me Up?
What Kept Me Up started like a couple of years ago. That was about maybe about 4 or 5 years, but it was more of a personal blog back then, right?
Yeah.
I used to do most of the writings, and the frequency used to range from writing back to back in a particular month and going 3-5 months without publishing anything again. So, but then as what it is today, I started last year, January 2021. And yeah, we got more writers and yeah, who understand film, which we understood, right? And then we've been going for over a year now as what we are today.
All right. You said you study sociology and culture and these different aspects connect to film. Can you explain that further?
Yeah, I think at the for example, picking out culture comprises of music, film, books, and so many other things of a particular group of people. But then I've in my during my studies, I've tried to focus a lot on my coursework, doing a lot of things that pertain to films, right? And also sociology, I believe. Almost every good, no, not that every good writer has to be a philosopher, but they have this brain for the philosophy of life or the philosophy of people or human relationships, which sociology also covers in some kind of way, right? The way you build your character, the way you write your story. Well, again, not that you have to be a philosopher, you need to have studied, but then a lot of people they've tried to understand this through, even if they've not studied this, right? But then they try to understand this aspect of things by reading books and immersing themselves in past works in that kind of way. That's why I think culture and sociology forms an interesting aspect of filmmaking.
Okay. As a whole industry, I mean, it's not that we represent one thing right now, but what do you think our movies are saying about us as the people in Nigeria?
So I guess the recent movies was what they are. If people are watching us outsiders, so what our movies will be telling them, right?
Yeah.
And people would see our movies. They'll see us as they would wonder if we actually the kind of country that they understand us to be, right? I'm not saying that we shouldn't portray that the bad things shouldn't be portrayed, but then they would say, oh, okay, things are actually perfect and all right on that side of the world, or or yeah, a lot of partying and those kind of things. And that's how they understand that, oh, this is quite a high such a high standard of living. But then they're like other ways these stories could be told to cover the other side of life, be it through satirical means or yeah, or direct criticism in your film, but that might be hard, a little bit hard in the country, in a country like Nigeria, understandably. Yeah, but
Yeah,
then I think as an outsider, they would, like me, I've even had friends right ask me, oh, do you have this such such level of wealth or something? Yeah, I believe we have, but then it's just like a really small group of people at the top, and
yeah,
that's almost an unfair thing for because for example now you see I think glamour girls is I think they said it's trending in South America. Yeah, it's broken some records. It's like a global hit, and I think people watching this says something right. They okay, they are, even if they say film isn't education, film isn't this, film isn't that. By the end of the day, people pick things from the movies they watch,
yeah,
whether they like it or not, whether it has been unconscious, but then it's ingrained in their memory as how they understand the group of people. And yeah, so glamour girls in some kind of way doing that, or in South America. Maybe we also have people who love Nigeria and all of that. They put them. It's almost kind of like a false, or to be like a tilted understanding. But then there's still time to do to make so many more movies that will balance the scale on who we are as a whole in as a country.
yeah. Okay, so apart from balancing the scale, what do you think we're losing out on by not accurately representing what Nigeria is? We show the glamorous part, we show the opulence, the money, but there's this other part that we don't show. I mean, like a movie like Aim of Fair showed that other side of Nigeria by a lot of filmmakers not telling those kind of stories. What are we missing out on?
Okay, maybe I could just go in two stages. First would be film as an export, right? We are missing out on the kind of stories or what we are sending out to people out there, what we are exporting out there to the people
Yeah,
who live in other countries, right? We are not exactly representing the entire thing, right? And then yeah, when other people come and tell our stories or the other kind of stories that should be told, like maybe the historical ones, and they tell it wrongly, then we shouldn't blame them for that entirely. And then the other level will be it's also needed for the I think the future generations, which I might be hammering it a lot, maybe on my Twitter account or something. I mentioned a lot this
yeah.
idea of documentation,
Mm,
film as a form of documented material, right? When people watching this ages or years later, they might have film is a sort of an archive, right? So might have a slightly false understanding of things that happened, right, in
mm,
this period. But then when I mention things like this, people think, oh, it's overblown. Film isn't that important. Of course, they are not using these particular words, but then this, oh, film is just for entertainment. It's just
mm,
for fun. It's not that deep. But I'm not saying every film should be deep. Every film doesn't have to be deep. But then there's this level of nuance or this level of oh, okay, yeah, I'm trying to, and even every filmmaker at least can have that back of their mind that okay, if this movie is looked back on in future, what would a cultural student, for example, who has to do close reading or analysis of your material, what would they bring out of it? What would they understand about this time period, about this era? They understand that oh there was so much money in the society. Of course there might be other things to balance it out, maybe when they see the economic report and all of that, but then they will be asking themselves why were the movies just showing this part and not this part, which might
yeah.
be a little bit of a headache for them, but I'll leave that to them in the future to deal with. So I guess with the reviews and our essays, which we try to make hammer it to my writers, make it to be social political aware, right? Don't
Mm,
just your film is it an enclosed space? You should look out there, let it be aware. So when we put that into our reviews and our essays, I see it also as a form of archive, right? When people read them, also they can have an understanding of, oh, okay, this is what was actually happening this period, or people actually craved for more stuff, and it's not like the demand for for this particular, for example, maybe the wedding movie is not like of course the demand is high because tickets, returns, and sales say so. But then at the end of the day, we also have the other side where people also wanted more of these ones also, and not just these particular ones. Yeah. So I guess film as an export, what it will tell people about us, and then film as an archive that is documenting this particular period. What would it tell the future generations about us? Hopefully, it won't be like an entire misrepresentation.
Yeah, definitely. Like I guess not a lot of films have captured like the political, backdrop of what Nigeria has been through. The difference is so great because you watch other movies and maybe this story is happening with certain political or historical events as backdrops, but a good number of Nigerian films tend to just be isolated in their bubble. I mean, part of it is like, okay, you're telling a story, you're shooting everything in the house, you never leave the house, you don't know what's happening in the wider world. And
Yeah.
I think we're doing a bit of disservice to ourselves because we have a rich history. You can always draw on certain things, play on what is happening in the wider environment with what is happening in your story. But yeah, like what are your thoughts? Cinema in Nigeria is not that old. And before now, stories passed down from, grandparents and all that tended to be cautionary tales. So from that we moved to drama and now we're doing films, we're doing cinema. And, there's this expectation from the audience that there should be lessons in every film that you watch. And if there are no lessons, the film didn't do good. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll say films don't necessarily have to have a message. They don't necessarily have to have a clear message or that drugs are bad or ladies shouldn't go into prostitution or whether prostitution is right or wrong in society or whether this or that. It doesn't have to have a clear message. Even I guess my best or the movies that I would say that I would actually respect when they leave things ambiguous, right? To leave watchers to make an understanding of what they've just watched. It should mess with your head a little bit, make you think, not just stay on a clear side that okay, this is the side we are on. It should leave you a little bit in the middle to think. And by the time you are thinking, right, by the time the movie is making you think, and not that they are telling to off your brain or something. By the time it's making you think and it's making you just weigh the options, then you come to certain sound judgments yourself, and which I think a lot of works, maybe it's almost like a general Nigerian thing for us, almost sadly, right? A lot of our works, even this might be going a little bit to the education, right? It's mostly like spoon feeding.
Yeah.
The teacher comes to class, dictates notes, you write down, you close the books, you go back home, that kind of thing. We really have to critically engage with certain materials. So by the time people like us want to engage with materials in certain way, people will call our works dissertations. And our film now, this one will be dissertation now, but this is like a standard analytical something that I think people should even know how to do already in secondary school.
Yeah.
Before getting into university. But then at this point, then I don't blame them, but then they should embrace this change that we're trying to bring. That okay, these films can actually be engaged this way. While film might be entertainment for something, there are some that understand it a different way and they understand the implications. Because the commonness of film has made us to really see it as something that is just ordinary, but then it's beyond that and it's not sad, but then it's really like there's this passion. Like, okay, I wish people would understand this, but then I guess with time they would, because I see the changes happening, these discussions taking place every week, every hour, every minute concerning Nollywood, which makes me happy about these conversations are happening now, these discussions are happening now, and I'm happy that I'm right there at the moment where it's happening, and I can also chip in my own opinion when I can. So I think films don't have to pass a message, but then lay your points down, lay your stories down, and make people. I think you get the best judgment when you engage with something, not just when something has been given to you.
Yeah.
Because I think that's when you engage with a particular book or a material when you are studying, as a cultural student, when you have to do the close reading of older books or something to understand the author's mind, you would understand it better. It sticks in your brain better than when a teacher has just come to class and stated historical points from point A to point B to point C. That way, you would even have to cram, oh, in 1990 something, this happened, 1991, which might be a little bit hard to do. But when you engage with it yourself or with these things yourself, when the movie hasn't provided you with a clear ending, of course, not that all movies shouldn't provide you with a clear ending, but then when it doesn't, then while you're doing other things doing, and then you be coming to realizations, interesting takes that, oh, okay, life is actually like this and not like, oh, people on this side actually see this way and not this way, and in some kind of way to help us not to just be quite maybe myopic and not just to see things, oh, the filmmaker said this is how it is and that is how it should be and that is right or wrong, but try to make things a little bit ambiguous and let people just engage with it. Because that's part of the work on the audience side of things. And again, I think the Nigerian audience, we are not lazy as filmmakers. I think we are definitely not. People want to watch things that will make them really engage with it and give their feedback and talk and that kind of thing. And I think we are getting there gradually. There are filmmakers who really want to make such interesting stuff and quote and unquote deep or art, art like the art cinema and that kind of thing. Yeah.
All right, so agencies like yours are doing a very important service to Nollywood, through these film essays, the film reviews, the work you do. How do you think it helps the growth of Nollywood?
It helps, most importantly, maybe the documentation aspect, helping the future generations to understand how this era was, not just from the sides of the filmmaker, right? If we don't have the press, they would only understand it from one side entirely. It won't be balanced. I think the press should always be there to serve as a watchdog or counterbalance when things are going wrong or when we should be able to report a different side to it. And not just that one press should be available, one agency should be available. Of course, we need many people. I always say it, we need more people to come and write film reviews, film essays. What kept me up's opinion is not absolute. It's not the final, right? There are different ways these things can be interpreted, that can be understood. That, oh, then you can even believe two opinions. It's not like you are believing opinion A and opinion B is totally trash. It's all about how you support your argument, right? Based on what you've gotten from the movie. So which is like, oh, please, people come and write. This is actually something that will be interesting when so I think more and more agencies and outlets are popping out, right? And they also have outlets like Shock NG, which they really do interesting stuff with numbers and finances in Nollywood, which is on that aspect. Like, oh, thank God, it's not just criticism. This is an agency that is also doing something else entirely with the numbers and our budget and our revenue and all of that, getting into the filmmakers' mind and their head, how these people think, how they come up with how they want to make their movie, and the production and the pre-production and all of that. And we also have our side. While we also do a bit of that, but then not so much. We are more in the screening stage where we watch the movie, and then we might do interviews when we get the chance to. And also write our reviews, and then write our essays when it's an important movie that's really dealt with a particular aspect. That, oh, we could write an essay on this, or this movie connects to this particular issue, or connects to this particular older movie, that kind of thing. So which all balances out. By the time you have one agency doing the finances, another one writing criticism, and that one might even be on YouTube, just making video essays, which is also another interesting aspect of things that I can't wait for more people to get into for Nollywood. But for now, people still think, oh, of course it doesn't pay in Nollywood, but then it's just about people who have the passion for it at the moment and are not worried about whether they are getting paid or not. But then I think in the long run, with the amount of production and project that we'll be getting, right, with the emergence of streaming services coming into the industry and trying to get the film stories out there, they can't promote these movies all on their own. They will need press, they will need agencies like ours, right, to help them with their outreach and to with their coverage, to cover their stories and their movies. Because at the moment we have so many Nollywood movies, not to talk of when Disney Plus comes, HBO comes, because now we have Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So the work we do, I think it's all important. While not just us, but then what others also bring to the table, and all together, and I think it helps to bring an industry that is ready for, I think, growth. Because by the time we are starting, we are triggering, and we are triggering conversations, and that's really important, right? We are conversing, and it's not just to be. It shouldn't just be conversations of old or of the past. It should be conversations that's pushing us forward. But some might even say criticism is not important. Or you don't need criticism to grow. But then I'll disagree. It's needed if you actually, even if you don't agree, right? You don't have to agree. You don't have to, but then you could react the way you want to. That's totally fine. It's understandable, right? We don't have control over how you feel about it. But then don't just put like a cover over it that, oh, criticism is bad and that is that. There are way more things that criticism does for a film or for an industry, which is beyond just saying what it is movie or not. Because at the end of the day, resources given to a particular project is resources taken from another project, and I think the press should really be there to serve as we're trying to balance the scale and also helping people to find new voices out there and filmmakers out there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think apart from giving a bit of context for like the future, I think it also kind of gives a lot of Nigerian projects visibility. So, you release a film, you search on Google, and then you see an article to go with that film. And it just validates the work that the filmmakers are doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so what kept me up reported heavily, like when the annual film mischief was happening. How important is it, for the press also to be covering the festival circuits?
I think festivals are interesting places. As one of the, I think the festival director that we're going to be, or maybe Shango Doni, who was a producer on Aim of It, he said in an interview that festivals are like this channel for filmmakers to get their films out there to multiple people, not just the audience, but then to potential distributors. But of course, Nollywood is not there yet, right? Because we don't have distributors coming to bid for movies right at the festivals, right?
Yeah.
But then at some point this would happen with the number of filmmakers coming up. So I think the press, what's our role here, what's our job here? Again, providing interviews, getting most especially because I think festivals are really also like a good point for upcoming filmmakers, right? To showcase themselves and their work. That's where you get like, oh, these not fair criticism, but like this criticism that doesn't, of course, go too hard on you because you are new and people understand that like this is your first work. You want to see the potential, what are the possibilities that this person has, and the press being there would help to push this voice out there. Oh, there's this new exciting filmmaker who is doing this, who's doing that you should know about. That would be the job of the press, covering the festival in this kind of way. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us 3 random facts about yourself?
Random facts about myself. The most movies I've seen at the cinema in a day were 3 movies, I think. Yeah, 3. I saw 3 movies in a day at the cinema.
Can you remember the movies you saw?
No, I don't. I think Quiet Place. It was when Quiet Place came out. Quiet Place. I remember Quiet Place, but I don't remember the other 2. I didn't even watch Oreo usually, but then it was my birthday that year, so I just let me just watch movies.
Yeah.
So possibly movies that released around the time the first Quiet Place came out. Yeah. And that's my record for the most cinema movies in a day.
Okay.
And also, fun fact, I grew up. I have lived in Ibadan. Yeah, I grew up in Ibadan. So and most of our writers and our team members are based or from have their roots from Ibadan. Yeah. While Lagos is making the movies, and Ibadan should be balancing the scale with the cultural essays and with the cultural deep thoughts. Yeah, I think that's like a good balance. That everything won't come from Lagos. Yeah. And yeah, what
And the
other fun
final
facts?
one.
My favorite team is Arsenal.
Yeah, it
That's the
seems they are
fun.
doing good business in the transfer window right now.
Yeah, so far it's been good. Hopefully it doesn't end that way.
Yeah, I am an Arsenal fan too, so yeah, hopefully this our season.
Oh, okay. I'm going to
Yeah, definitely. In different countries, they have basically there's a lineup of festivals and how they feed into award season and all that. Currently, like, what are your thoughts on the festival circuit? So, like, the combination, the timings of the different festivals.
I think for now, like almost every other thing in Nollywood, there's no like exact structure, organization guiding everything. Most people are just doing their own in their own ways, and it's not particularly geared towards a particular award or geared. Oh, I want to start a festival. Okay, this is the date. I don't think there's particular thought that is guiding this. That okay, this is so we can get into this award or I think it's just most people's at this point. A lot of things are just initiative from singular individuals or bright minds who want to see these changes, who want to develop the film culture, the cinema culture in Nigeria. But this is a really important aspect also that we've missed in the past, right? We've not had the time to develop an actual cinema, cinema culture, which is why we understand film a little bit. Most of our people understand film a little bit differently. So that's why I think at the moment there's no exact overarching organization that's guiding all of our festivals at the moment. It's just individual brilliance and spark and innovation going on out there now, I believe.
Yeah.
Sometimes they even know if festival is happening until like 2 weeks before, which is also like a shame, or like 1 week before, like, oh, there's no promotion at all, nothing at all, which is quite strange. And I don't understand how this thing. Well, I'm still trying to understand how this thing works sometimes when there's no prior. Maybe there is, but not widespread enough, right? But then I think more information could be put in advance. Even if I know it's quite hard to have this long-term planning in Nigeria. If you can have like fixed dates every year, even if it will be shifted, it will still fall around that time, right? This is when we'll be holding our festival every year. But then there are a lot of factors that go against such planning in the country. So I can understand why that is not happening also. Yeah. So I think that would be a really good thing when, this festival happens. Usually in the first quarter of the year, this one, second quarter, this one, third quarter, or fourth quarter, not just random vibes and things like that.
Okay. So that ties into my next question. These festivals feeding content for the award season. So right now in Nigeria, there's AMA, there's AMVCA. I don't think these two awards are kind of meeting the whole need of the industry, because it's kind of like a feedback system, right? That you make a film and, you submit it for consideration of an award, and, it's what is awarded that is reinforced. And for people that care about awards, they take note and they come back next year with whatever was awarded the previous year. What do you think our current awards are lacking? What could be improved about them?
Awards, and sadly, we don't have like, for me personally, there's no one particular award that I can say, when this award body gives a movie this thing, I would actually trust and say, okay, yeah, I'm beating my chest and standing behind this one. And we even published this essay recently that covers the AMVC and things they should do to to improve. So people should check this out. When you can just go to our page and search for AMVC, I think it will pop out. Yeah. So one of the points was that they should engage the press more. Right, yeah, or maybe it's a little bit selfish because it's in my own interest, but then they should engage the press more, share information with us, right? Let us know when how you've accepted this nomination. Maybe it's a lot of work or resources that would go into that. I don't know, but
Yeah.
then once you've decided to do this, then you should do it well. So share information with us. What the criteria, right, for accepting these movies? How did that go about? How many submissions did you have? Those even if it won't be going public, let the press understand this. How did you come about your jury? Most times they just tell us who the edge jury is, but then we don't know the rest of the members.
Yeah.
How do the voting cards or the voting points come about? Such information should even be readily available on your website or on your page, which we sadly don't have. And then for AMVCA, which is like the one that people respect and celebrate a lot, it's attached to more teachers. Yeah, I think to DSTV, which is one of the so which also makes it a little bit tricky and funny sometimes that should that even be so at the end of the day, I think we don't have that award body yet that I would say, okay, this award body is actually consistent in their rules. They are consistent in their rules, in their selection of movies and things like that. They are not consistent. Mostly, they are just always going here and there, and I don't know, maybe just to give out award or just to say, oh, this year this award has taken place, and that kind of thing. Yeah, but yeah, I think so. Such improvements will be needed, just sharing with the press what needs to be known and how the process has gone about. And then I think that's also something the press also could work towards too gradually, because I think the press also could hold an award event. I think it's still quite too early for that, right? Because they don't
Mm.
yet to understand us or love us that much yet. But then I think just start as a kind of yearly list or something. Or the press or the Nollywood press says, oh, these are the 10 or the 5 movies we think you should watch, right?
Yeah.
It would, and if they are like really at the really good ones, people would actually trust. Oh, every year we're anticipating this list that we know, okay, these movies are the definite best, and then maybe 10 years down the line, then an actual event can start to take place. But then it will just
Yeah.
start as a list, as a yearly list, in that kind of
Yeah.
manner. Yeah. But for now, the award bodies we have so far, I'm not the biggest fan of
Yeah.
what they do.
I mean, I think we don't even have to wait 10 years to have like a particular award that the Nollywood film press, kind of
Oh,
gives.
thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be humble.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I'll be
I
happy.
think it's just organization and I guess unity, because again, if the people making the films don't rate these awards, then yeah, it's not going to kind of solidify the legitimacy of the award, I guess. Yeah. All right. So I mean, the fact that you cover cinema releases and also um movies coming out on the streaming platforms, I'm sure you must have noticed some trends, some insights. What are some of those, things you have discovered, especially like, a number of movies have come out this year. Do you think Nollywood is moving in a new direction? What are your observations so far?
Yeah. Thank you for the question here. Like, just this morning, we published our Nollywood movies of the year so far. There were like 4 movies, right, out of like maybe 20 or 20 plus movies that have been released. So we're able to get like 4 movies that we think people should see. And I'll say things are getting better, of course, but then it's all about which set of people are ready to make the needed change or to make the needed important tweaks in the right places and not in the wrong places,
Hmm.
right? So, and I think the year started beautifully well, in my opinion, from my perspective, with the Chief Daddy movie. That was a beautiful movie. Of course, not in the sense of the quality, but in the sense of what it provided, right? The reality it brought us back to, right? And I think that was quite poetic. Starting the year with Chief Daddy too, like I'm like, wow, who writes? Who is this God controlling this universe? It was like
Hmm.
so nice. I'm like, okay, yeah. So it brought us back. I think people went back definitely to their drawing board went back to think a little bit and to tweak things. And maybe possibly some people who maybe had such movies coming out, maybe they went back to the editing room, so change a few things, or maybe not. But then imagine that, I think, so that kind of level of conversation that happened on the first day of the year. Then going to, I think the next one that came out, which was really applauded and loved, was For Maria Ebupatake, which has been in the festival circuit like for the last 2-3 years, I think, to at least 2 years, and then finally landing on Netflix from an indie filmmaker, right? Who would you, from someone who would usually not have the, and maybe that one would imagine, oh, doesn't have the would had not had the connection for a long time to get it on Netflix, but finally it got there. And, oh yeah, and then I was scared, right? I'll not lie. I was like, people love this movie, people like it, because I saw it last year at the Nollywood, I think Paris Nollywood Week Festival, and I was like, I saw the reaction. I was like, I was glad that, wow, okay, people actually know what is good. Okay, to the audience, yeah, the story and everything, they didn't find it, like, they didn't call it boring, or even though maybe some said it was boring, but then they understood where it was going, the kind of movie it was. So that kind of the comparison and seeing what they got on the first day of the year and seeing people embrace For Maria, it made me hopeful. And then also going towards the rest of the year, so I think Amazon Prime coming in and acquiring quite a number of movies at a go, and then Ink Blot had a number of cinema movies which were, in what kept me up's opinion, mostly disappointment. But then there are a lot of filmmakers, but I respect Ink Blot, right, for giving different filmmakers chances, and then also on screenwriters, right, bringing them into the mix and making them get the work done. But then for now, it's just about the execution of the story and what goes on a deeper level. And I think I've also been telling people that this is like a breaking point for Nollywood, or that, that moment when a material, you've been beating. So it's either it breaks or it gets stronger at that moment. So you just keep beating and we hope it doesn't break, right? It's make or break moment. So we hope this doesn't break it, but then it just molds the industry to strive for better. And then we add Blood Sisters on Netflix. Like, oh wow, okay, not the perfect movie, but then it's also a step forward, and hopefully we are not going back again with maybe 5 steps backward, and really keep. And so seeing the director, one of the co-directors, Kenneth Gang, who is also a fine filmmaker, work for Ebony Life, which is something I would not have thought or imagined. Wow, okay. So I think they're actually recognizing these talents who understand story for what it should be, because that's been one of our major criticism of our reviews so far, right? I don't know if a reader who is familiar with our reviews, one thing that almost pops up in every bad review or one negative review of a movie is story. There's a structure to story. There's a way this thing should be done, but then I think these things are ignored, or I don't know if they don't know it, or they know it, or they think Nigerians don't care about it, or they think it's not for the Nigerian market, but then that's the way we would review the movies. We want to review the movie from the aspect of maybe what in an average Nigerian audience wants to see, but then from the language of filmmaking, cinema as a language, but then you can tweak it the way you want, but then first there needs to be an understanding of this language. And even when you understand this language, you can even make five different films in the same genre, and then as long as it's well to, people will watch. And you don't necessarily have to be flying from genre to genre just so you can make different box office hits in different genres. But then at the end of the day, you're jumping from one category to another category just because you cannot make multiple movies in a particular genre, because by the time you are making the 5th one, people realize your trick, and then they are getting bored that, okay, no, I can't do this again. So these filmmakers, they have to keep jumping and changing things. Okay, we are moving to this next. Oh, we want to make the next time travel movie. Oh, we want to make the next adventure movie. Oh, we want to make the next Yoruba epic. So we keep flying from genre to genre when a particular one has not been understood yet, or fully welded in a way that should be. And how long does that want to happen? I think every filmmaker who wants to prove that, oh, they know what they are doing and they really understand this thing well, you should be able to make 5 movies in the same genre and be able to hold people's attention and not necessarily keep switching things, because at the end of the day, you'll be left with almost nothing else to do, because people would realize your trick, and which was what happened with Chief Daddy 2 in some kind of way, because I think these are movies this is the kind of movie people would have watched or that we have watched in the past, but then people just, I think people just realized, we've watched this thing before now, we've seen this thing before now, but then this is also bad on another level. And I don't think I want to start my year with this kind of movie. Maybe it's released on a summer, in July or in August, I would have watched it, but in January, the first day of the year, fam, we are not watching this with you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a bright side to everything. A lot of filmmakers are going back to learn, to understand, make short films. I don't know, maybe I'm not in the place to educate filmmakers, but I come, if anybody's listening to this, I come in peace. I don't mean any harm, right? Make short films, read books, watch older movies, also understand the language of cinema, and then from there on, you can manipulate it any way you want, and then I think the rest will be in the filmmakers and on whatever you decide to do at any point in time, and then I think the audience would love it.
Yeah, definitely. What effects do you think Gatekeepers is having on what the world gets to see from Nollywood?
Yes, most people compare it to music or something, maybe because artists can get their music directly on these streaming services like Spotify or Apple Music, or you just have to know some kind of someone that can do it for you. But then film works a little bit differently, and I think the industry in the first place has failed to have a structure, for these external parties like Netflix to be able to identify these things. Where do we have the definite list of filmmakers in the country? Is there a list somewhere online? Is there anything like that? No. Is there an archive? No. Well, so mostly this service, they would of course approach those at the top of the game for now, those who have been controlling the game, and then I guess it might be those ones who decide who they want to let in or what wants to happen, and to be people they are familiar with, and it might be difficult for upcoming ones. But then in the long run, I guess with the kind of work we are also doing, I guess maybe there's also a Netflix executive who also pops in on our blog from time to time, and maybe he sees a movie like Plus, which was released recently from an indie filmmaker, and it's really good, one of the best movies of the year so far, right? And then you get to know the movie through that means. That's only if you visit our blog, of course, and that's one of the job that we do, right? So, but then this kind of institution or our own outlet, it has been missing in the industry for a long time. The ones we've had, they've not focused on film in particular. They mostly do general celebrity news or entertainment and Owambe and all of that. And they add film to it as just a side thing. But yeah, we are here to focus on film. We are here to place filmmakers out there. We want people to see them. That you search for their name on Google, you see an interview they've done in the past, you understand their filmmaking sensibilities, you understand their potentials, you understand where they are coming from. You see a little bit of their filmography that you can go back to and say, oh, okay, this filmmaker can actually do this thing. Because with the actual quality of movies that the mainstream filmmakers are making, it's all right, it's fine, but they are not really, they're not all that great. They are not great movies. So I can imagine a Netflix executive being pessimistic about trying out some other younger ones, right? Even though those ones might be better, because these ones that should actually be at the top of their game, they are just slightly above average, you get. So it might be hard for them to want to place their money on these younger filmmakers at the start.
Yeah.
And this is just the start, right? Because by the time Netflix came in, then the pandemic happened, different things happened. So I think that has delayed and set them back a little bit. Maybe by now we would have seen a lot more filmmakers and all of that. But then I can imagine, and with Amazon Prime coming in, they'll be open to find the best of talent. They'll be open to also train or educate the best of talent, because there's also like a talent deficiency in the industry. By talent, I don't mean the actors or actresses. I mean also the creatives, the professionals who work behind the scenes, who carry out various, not even the actors or directors, but then various talents like set runner or the grip or we don't have enough based on what I've heard, right? So we need more people who would do these things, costume designers, VFX people. We need more and more and more, right? So by the time these people are getting trained, more people are doing this. We're having more cinematographers, we're having more people who can work behind the scenes. I think gradually, the so-called gates that has been kept will crash, because then they are no longer needed in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Because these people can get their information from the press, from Shock NG. Shock NG also, I think they also do a fine job of putting younger filmmakers out there. You go to their page, you go to our page, you go to another page that exists also, that is also putting younger filmmakers out there, and the streaming service executive can read up on them, can get to know more about them. But then, as I said, the structure has been missing in the past. So it's a little bit money that we're talking about here. So it's a little bit hard to just want to place your money on just a random person just because, oh, this person has made a movie. But then again, let me bring you back to the festival circuit. So that's also a point our festivals can reach, right, in the near future. As the Surreal 16, they have like this festival also that they started last year, but I think don't make it every 2 years or so. I'm not sure if I remember correctly. So it's also like this indie creative filmmakers also want to embrace movies that are outside the mainstream categories. And so gradually, by the time these people are aware of these festivals and beyond AFRIF that most people know, I think they would start to attract these people. These people will start to attend these festivals to want to know the next big thing. Because now I'm sure they know what Dami Lola Orimogunje can do with the love for Maria God, with the success it had. Of course, it might not be the success of Omogeto, but then it's a success on its own. They know, oh, when we require this kind of movie, we can approach Mr. Orimogunje, and possibly Mr. Orimogunje. It's also in his own place from there on to connect his peers or his colleagues to Netflix, right? Because I think he has a way in now. So I don't expect he would gatekeep, right? Because he understands how it has been for him. He understands what it will take for filmmaking in the country to be elevated. So I think it's in his place then to, of course, he doesn't have to, but then to say, oh, okay, to want to work with other filmmakers, or even connect these filmmakers, other filmmakers, to Netflix and say, oh yeah, I know that people will make also fine things and that he can vouch for. And maybe that's also like another form of cabal or something that would grow from there on, but then not to use the word cabal, which has a negative connotation to it. But then you should just keep plugging your people in, and from there on it keeps growing and growing and growing, and more people are eating, so to say, from this money, from this filmmaking money, or more people are getting their food, their daily bread from it. So I guess you just have to know how to connect your people, and once you are in, make sure you're making good stuff. That's why we really need to also make really good things. And the upcoming filmmakers, they shouldn't think they want to make movies like the mainstream just to get in, because why would Netflix come to you when they can get an average movie from the mainstream filmmakers? So if you're an upcoming filmmaker, make something different, make something really peculiar, make something really special, not what they can always get from the mainstream filmmakers. If they want something like that, they will get it from the mainstream filmmakers who are already available, right? So you that are upcoming, it's in your place not to make sound movies, make movies that really make people really engage with their minds and that kind of thing. And just make your story well structured. And I think from there on, these people will start to notice you, they'll start to know you. And it's just time, right? It's just time. Netflix just needs to settle, Amazon Prime needs to settle, they need to balance and look at what's happening around. And I think it's also the job of we press to help them steady the ship and say, okay, these are the people we have available. We are sorry that we could not provide a cushion or a bed for you as you guys came in, right? We were in a bit of rush, meaning we lacked the structure that was needed. So we are still building, we are still in the process of furnishing our house. We had not furnished it yet with the needed tools, with the needed resources for you to be able to find these amazing filmmakers out there, these amazing storytellers out there. But gradually, with more hands, with more people, there's more that What Kept Me Up can do. There's more Shock NG can do. I'm sorry, I just keep mentioning Shock. There are also other people out there who I don't know yet, or there are more that other press people can do, but these are the main outlets that I know about, right? So there are more people out there we can help you to know, and gradually we would, with more resources for us also, and when we get to be able to invest more, we are making more money or something, we can get more writers, more researchers, and there's so much we even need to place on the internet or in the archives from the past, right? That is missing, that we need to do historically, right? Because for now we are focusing on the present, right? Because we've lost a lot of time with the past. So at the same time, we are trying to juggle the present and the past at the same. We're trying to juggle it together at the same time, and it could be a little bit difficult sometimes. But then I think with time, we'll definitely get there, and yeah, we'll be ready to provide our services or our knowledge to the benefit of the industry, which I think should grow from here on. It can't get any worse. It can only get better.
Yeah, definitely. Can you mention that one movie or TV series that you always love to rewatch?
Nollywood, that would be a movie that I always rewatch in Nollywood. I think one that I've watched quite a lot will be Isoken, that
Okay.
Jade Oshiberu, and also what's the title of this movie? Is it The Figurine? Yeah, The Figurine, also from Kunle Afolayan. But for
Yeah.
TV series, I've not really been a frequent watcher of a particular. I've watched a lot in the past, but there's no particular one that I've rewatched and rewatched that's from
Hmm.
Nollywood. Yeah, so
Yeah, but what is it
yeah,
about
yeah.
those movies that makes you kind of want to rewatch them several times?
Um, for it's okay. Yeah, for it's okay. It's just the story is just really simple, right? We asked for just a lot of time for just a simple story and that kind of thing. I think it was not perfect again, but then compared to the others and to the ones around it, it's the execution of the story, right? And yeah, the acting, the time it came into the industry. I just saw it, I think this year Valentine's, and since then I've watched it a couple of times. So I was like, wow, this is a really fine movie. For a long time I didn't watch it, but then ever since I watched it, I've watched it multiple times. So it's just the simplicity of the story and how it's executed. Like, okay, yeah, the filmmaker knew what they were doing going into this, and they didn't try to do too much. And this particular one that they've told, they did it just fine. And yeah, and being romantic comedy, and I'm a sucker for those kind of movies,
Mhm.
and I've seen a Hollywood movie that's done it well. Yeah, I just keep going back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, also maybe yeah, I don't Shower Road there also. Yeah, I think I've also seen that one a number of times. Shower Road there, Tunde Kelani. Yeah, that's on YouTube. I've also watched that a lot of times, and I go back to it from time to time due to the political nature of the movie and how evergreen it is. Yeah, for that reason, I always go back to Shower Road there also.
Okay. Nollywood is growing every day, and people are making different concerted efforts to improve different things. For you, like, what do you think filmmakers or industry professionals should kind of focus on? What needs urgent attention?
Going to our reviews and most of our complaints recently, I guess, just the story and the way they form their story. I don't know if there's a rush, but there's no need for rush. But just notice some gaps in the story or some implausible things sometimes in the story. Yeah, oh, okay, if this has happened in the first act or that kind of, it cannot be happening at this point of the movie. Why is this here right now? Or a scene that is dragging for too long and adding nothing to the just I think and there's one that film like maybe the mainstream filmmakers want to do, or I don't know, maybe they're trying to create a new kind of language that okay, what should be the Nigerian language of cinema, but at the same time I don't think it should be that kind of superfluous uh element to it that okay, yeah, it's Nigeria, the scene can drag for as long as they want, people would watch it. Yeah, that Gateman scene, it's really needed. Let's just show that Gateman do his thing at the gate and how we interact with the visitor, even when it adds nothing to the story. But then in the cutting room, trim it off, it's not needed. It doesn't pull the story forward, it doesn't make the story. It doesn't help the story to get to the finish point or to the end line. And also outside the films themselves, I'll say we need structure. Yeah, they should. The filmmaker should not keep going like this, because by the time things get bigger and bigger, it might be too late to build the structure. If you get what I mean. Now that things have not yet overgrown, or there's still time to build that structure that is needed, right? Different associations or groups that are needed, even the Nollywood press. And we should meet also, right? We like to know, let us know the definite number of people reporting Nollywood films in Nigeria. Let us meet, let's deliberate from time to time. Let's have these important discussions. They are hard discussions to have, or maybe even difficult, being that people are not getting paid that much yet for it. But then we really need to have them and build it now, right? It's what you build at this moment that you can now. It's what what foundations we lay now that we can build more stuff on, and the sky will just be the starting point and not even the limit. So I think the structures needed should be built ASAP, because more bright minds are coming, and then the more people are going to get involved. And by that time, when there are too many people, then people, it just keep going like that. Okay, we don't need the structure. We are too many. It's too late. This and that. So anybody who has the power to do it right now, please get to building a structure. There's a structure that's needed in Nollywood. For the writers, they should have a structure. The directors, the things like that. Yeah, they are really, even the Nigerian Film Board, Census Board, they should also add more stuff to their roles or what they do, not just about saying money ritual film should not be done or this and that. Maybe we need more stuff from them. Yeah. So, but then we know that government, they've not really had much input also to what has the success of the entertainment industry. It's mostly been the entertainment industry, the music and film themselves just doing their things and helping Nigeria and putting us out there on the global stage. So I think any individual who can do it at the moment, they should please get to building that structure. A lot of people would need it in the nearest future.
How can people keep up with, your work? How can people keep up with what kept me up?
We can keep up with us. You can find us. We have a blog, right, where we publish the essays, our reviews, and our news from time to time when we can. That's on whatkeptmeup.com. We're also on Instagram and on Twitter, where we try to engage our followers in other ways, right, beyond this news, right, because there are other ways for people to develop a film culture, doing throwbacks, helping them to understand different fun facts and historical things and stuff like that. Yeah, so on Instagram and on social and on Twitter at WKMUP, and we also just opened the TikTok account yesterday. So for any young audience out there who is on TikTok, we're also on TikTok at What Kept Me Up. So everywhere, just search What Kept Me Up, I think would appear on the first page.
Okay. And I guess, you're open to filmmakers sending you press kits.
Yeah, definitely, of course. We want to get your news out to over 8,000 monthly visitors, right? And growing. Of course, we are still growing. So let's help you get your news out there. If you have a trailer coming out, even if it's a poster, right? Because I think maybe filmmakers think, okay, it's just a poster, it's just a thing, right? I can do that on my own because I'll get it out there on my own. But then a lot of your viewers miss this news, or they miss this particular thing, because there's only so many filmmakers they can follow to keep up with this news when each filmmaker is posting it on their own personal account. So people will just follow their favorite. But then through press outlets like us that we are publishing everything, when you work with us, right, we help you to get the news out there, and people can always know that, they would find the news on What Kept Me Up, and they would always find your news there. So just, even if it's as small as a poster or a teaser or anything, just reach out to us via DMs on Instagram or on Twitter, and of course would gladly publish a news story about your film or your project, any kind of project you have. Yeah.
Nice. And you're also open to new people that want to write for your blog.
Yes, that's also, if you are also a writer and you write film essays, right? film essays embedded in Nollywood that is deeply rooted in Nollywood, right? They would really love that at the moment, those kind of essays. Even though we have fixed writers who mostly write our reviews, but then other kind of film essays and analytical stuff, we appreciate them and just reach out to us. We accept those also from guest writers. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ikeade. It was nice having you on the Naija Filmmaker.
Thank you so much for having me.
We have come to the end of this episode. Remember to rate and review the podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Selego Film, and the podcast at the Naija Film Pod to share your feedback. You can now support the podcast by visiting the website to donate. See you on the next episode. Have a good one.